Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today, in my last video, like I promised, I'm going to be doing my 2023 TBR. I have 25 books on my TBR. I'm hoping I surpass that, but we will see. These are the ones that I absolutely want to make sure I knock off my reading list this year. So I'm going to start with my physical TBR, and then we'll go into my TBR that I do not have copies of yet. I'll just insert pictures on the screen for you. But yeah, let's just jump right into this video. Okay, so the first book of 2023 that I want to knock out is Circe by Madeline Miller. Originally, I had seen the Song of Achilles and I was not intrigued by it. I heard very mixed things about it. I heard it was very slow paced. It was very heavily mythological, and I don't necessarily mind that, but I need to have like a captivating story behind it or else I can't really read it. I was at Target and I was reading the back of this and this seemed really interesting to me, so I went ahead and picked it up, and I do plan on reading this at some point this year. The next book on my physical TBR is The Road by Cormac McCarthy. Never actually read any of his books yet. I've heard really good things about them, and I really like books that really make you think about stuff, think about life, think about just anything in general. I've heard really good things about this book. This is going to be my first read, like I said, by Cormac McCarthy. Yeah, I do have a couple of his other books on my list that you'll see that I don't actually have copies of yet, but this is probably going to be the first one that I start with. It's about a father and a son who basically walk through a burned down America. It's a little quick excerpt. It says, "The road is an unflinching meditation on the worst and the best that we are capable of. Ultimate destructiveness, desperate tenacity, and the tenderness that keeps two people alive in the face of total devastation." So yeah, I'm pretty excited to read this. The next one on my physical TBR is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. And I'm gonna kind of zoom in on the cover because so many times when I would see videos of this and like was interested in it, I could not make out what things were in the cover. So I don't know if you appreciate that or not, but I'm doing it, so heard very mixed things about this. However, it's about a toxic relationship, which I myself have had experiences with. I heard this whole series is really good. I kind of like I don't ship it, but the whole toxic love trope is something that I can kind of relate to. So it's, so many people don't give very much feedback on this, so very excited. Next on the list is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. I definitely jumped on that bandwagon, so cool for me. But anyways, it's another love story. I heard really awesome things about this. I think it's gonna be one of those harder love stories where like I'm gonna be sobbing 50 million times, but that's okay because I like books that make me like feel something. Very excited to read this and join in on that part of the community that has read this book. So the next book on my TBR for 2023, it's A Tidy Ending by Joanna Cannon. This book is about a girl, I shouldn't even say a girl, a woman who, it's a British novel, and she is married. She lives this like really simple life so far is what I'm getting from the book, and she's kind of almost OCD in the way that she operates and does things. Her man turns out to be a serial killer. So it literally says it in this, like in the synopsis, so I'm not spoiling anything, but the fun part is reading the story and how she figures out and all that stuff. So I thought it was a really interesting idea and way to write from like the woman's perspective of the spouse who has absolutely no idea what's going on, but she's so observant. I don't know why he thought he could ever get it past her, but he did. So, but he thought he did is what I mean, not that he actually did. But anyways, very excited to read this. Very excited. Okay, next on my physical TBR is 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think by Brianna Wiest. Again, I loved her book so much, The Mountain Is You, that I really wanted to read this one. I love essay collections. I think they're really cool. I'm gonna read this later on because I feel almost exhausted from reading The Mountain Is You and all of the like internal work that I did in that book. So this is definitely on my TBR for 2023. One of those like self-help books, and that's Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. I bought this a while ago. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit intimidated by just how much this book actually has in it. There's like case studies, there's pictures, there's all kinds of stuff in here. Like a genuine study basically about trauma, but I've heard that it's you know, a very life-changing book once you understand how trauma occurs, and it also tells you how to kind of heal that trauma. So yeah, I'm eventually gonna pick this up when I decide to like really commit, because I know it's not going to be a quick read like all my others. I know this is going to take me probably even more than a month to get through, to like fully absorb. It definitely is on my list because I'm tired of putting this one off. Next is House of Earth and Blood, which is Crescent City's first volume in the series. Look at this motherfucker. I mean, it's huge. It's genuinely huge. Anyways, I picked this up because I'm interested in Sarah J. Maas's writing. I was honestly gonna pick up ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses, but the series is so dang long, and this series is just this book and then the book that she just came out with, which is just as big if not bigger than this, but still seems more like what I feel like would be an introductory for me to this writer. So yeah, that's why I picked it up. I also really like the fantasy side of it. I will see. I am interested to see how I like her as an author, if I fall under the hype like everybody else with these books. The next one on my physical TBR is The Wolf Den by Elodie Harper. I get a lot of my books from Target, if you haven't noticed. I love Target. This one I have seen plenty of times, like multiple times, at Walmart, at Target, just in the like book sections of the grocery store, because they usually carry like the popular titles. But I never even picked it up. Never even picked it up. And the day that I had picked up Circe by Madeline Miller, I saw this and I was like, this is kind of vibes. So I picked it up, and I'm gonna read the back to you because this is kind of why I was intrigued, and it wasn't just like a classical mythology story. It had like some drama and stuff. It says, Amara was once the beloved daughter of a Greek doctor until her father's death plunged her mother into destitution. Now Amara is a slave and prostitute in Pompeii's notorious wolf den brother, or Lupanar, owned by a cruel and ruthless man. Intelligent and resourceful, she is forced to hide her true self, but her spirit is far from broken. Buoyed by the sisterhood she forges with the brothel's other women, Amara finds solace in the laughter and hopes they all share. For the streets of the city are alive with opportunity. Here, even the lowest born slave can dream of a new beginning. But everything in Pompeii has a price. How much will Amara's freedom cost her? The Wolf Den is the first in a trilogy of novels about the lives of women in ancient Pompeii. So yeah, it was interesting. It's not just like your classic mythology, it's feminist take on women's lives in Pompeii, and I thought that was really cool, so I picked it up. Next on my physical is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I do have the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, so the pages are colored like the sky from the side of the book, as you can see. Oh, it's so cool. I heard very good things about this book. I was intrigued. I really like the idea of these like 6 dangerous kids living in this like secluded area, and they have like a master who teaches them everything, one of those kids being the Antichrist. Major points for that, because that's really what made me want to pick this up. This man basically has to go up there and oversee them and decide if he needs to destroy the kids or what have you. Probably got that completely wrong, but I'll have a review on these at some point here, so don't worry about that. It'll get better. I do have a couple other novels by this author on my TBR for this year. I just don't have physical copies, but that'll come later. So yeah, very excited. Okay, last on my physical TBR is Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong. It's an exclusive edition, so it's got like these Merlot matte pages, which is pretty cool. I've actually had this on my bookshelf for a long time. I got this quite a while ago. So I feel bad, and that is why I have added this to my TBR, because I do want to read it. I bought it for a reason. I'm not gonna make any more excuses for myself. I need to just go ahead and read this book. So that is why it's on my TBR. Now for my TBR that I don't physically have here with me. I have everything written in a notebook so I can keep track of everything for y'all, and I will insert pictures over here. I want to read The Sunset Limited by Cormac McCarthy, just because it seems so profound to me, the whole black and white sitting together having a conversation about life. Very interesting to me. I love learning about race and inequality and things like that. It's good to have knowledge like that so you don't end up being one of those people, if you know what I mean. Anyways, next on my list is The Atlas 6 by Olive Blake. Really want to read it. Every time I go to Target, I see it on the shelf, and there's just other books that I pick up instead, and I don't know why. Definitely going to be reading that one. It's kind of like how Ninth House has been for me for the past couple of years, and for a lot of people for the past couple of years. You do really want to read it. You know it's 100% on your list, but it just keeps getting shoved down by this never-ending TBR. So I also want to read I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. I don't really read a whole lot of memoirs or autobiographies or biographies, period. I was in the era that grew up with Jeanette McCurdy, and I've heard you can take away a lot of good life lessons from that book. It touches a lot on her experience with her mother, which mine has not been super awesome, so I am intrigued to read that book. Next on my list is You've Reached Sam by Destin Thau. I just really like the concept of that. As sad as it is, I like the concept that she can still talk to her deceased partner through text messages and voice calls. I think it's very cute. It's probably going to be horribly sad. It was an interesting concept, and that's kind of why I added it to my TBR this year. What My Mother and I Don't Talk About. Again, it's an essay collection, and I picked this up because, again, I struggle with my relationship with both my parents, but my mom as well. The more that I think about becoming a mom, the more I kind of want to do research and try to not be what my mom was. I don't know. If We Were Villains by ML Rio, I really want to read. Very cool concept. Shakespeare geeks who have to go in and perform a play, and it just completely turns AWOL is very intriguing to me. So I also have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig on my list, which I'm probably going to be picking up within the next couple weeks, just because I really want to read that one here soon. I'm in the mood for it. I love books that deal with life and death and the meaning of life and how much we take seriously and consciousness and all that stuff, especially stories and not just research. I really like stories about stuff like that, so I'm excited to read The Midnight Library. One book on my TBR that has not came out yet is A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. I believe her name's Tara, I could be wrong, but just go read the synopsis for that and tell me that that does not sound completely awesome. It's like a thriller / horror, I want to say, which I don't really read a whole lot of horror, even though I'm a horror movie junkie. I don't necessarily read a lot of horror, so it's going to be interesting, but I am excited to read it. Next on the list is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. So many people have read this, and I just slacked off. I really did. Every time I saw it in the bookstore, I was like, I finally read a synopsis, and I was like, okay, you're an idiot for that. I do want to pick that up, and I do want to read that, not just so I can join the club, but I really like to read good books, and if so many people have liked this book, it's got to be at least worth checking out. Okay, next on this list is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. So many people have read The Silent Patient. I do want to read The Silent Patient, but I actually was more intrigued by, sorry, that was my dog, but I'm actually more intrigued by The Maidens. It just seems so cool versus like The Silent Patient. It's just a completely different story. Next on the list is My Body by Emily Ratajkowski. I do struggle a lot with like my body confidence and things like that, and I really like to read books that deal with femininity and our bodies and our womanhood and things like that, because it makes me feel more empowered. Definitely wanted to add that to my list for a personal reason, but I also heard it's really good. Next is 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. I also want to read Sick Flux by Tilly Cole, but I'm a little scared too. It just looks very intense, but I've heard very good things about 1,000 Boy Kisses. I don't like a whole lot of fluffy romance. I like the romance that has a lot of turmoil and resolution, but there's still love, because I feel like those are the best love stories. And I think that's what this book is going to be like, but I'm not 100% sure. But again, heard so many good things, and I really want to knock that off my TBR this year. Next is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. Not something I usually would go for, you know, power hungry men, women. It was very kind of like a 50 Shades of Grey vibe for me. The back of the book was so intriguing, how he like deals with amusement parks, and he's just like this big hotshot, and I just want to see where the story goes. It's really just sheer curiosity that I added that book to my TBR, and I don't know why it's so important to me to read it, but I really want to read that book. So next to, which I think this is 26 and not 25, is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. That has a lot to do with like death, like the guy dies and he's trying to figure out his afterlife basically, and it was very intriguing to me, so I added it. And then In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune comes out 4/25 of 23. I want to read that one so bad. It's about androids. It's about human androids that are trying to coexist among humans. And obviously the story probably goes way deeper than that, but just that concept alone was really cool for me because I love the game Detroit Become Human. I watched all of the gameplay. I have the game, I just haven't actually played it. But yeah, very, very cool, and it very much gave me a similar vibe. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching my awesome face here on YouTube. If you guys would like to see more of myself, hear more of my super great opinions, then please stick around. Like, comment, all that shit. Like this video if you liked it. Give me a comment. I would love to interact with you guys and talk about some of the books that you're going to be reading, some of the books that you have read. Give me recommendations. I would love. I always have a never-ending TBR. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video.